So this is our table for our 1500 point game of Space Marines versus Tyranids. The deployment is Dawn of War, and the mission or scenario is Emperor's Will. So we have two objectives. The Tyranids will be deploying back here, and they place their objective just behind this building here. And then over on the Space Marines side, who will be deploying over here, they have just placed their objective inside this destroyed, bombed out building. So in this scenario, it's the same Space Marines from last game chasing down the rest of the Tyranids on this planet. And if they manage to defeat the Tyranids here, then it will be easy enough for them to pick off the stragglers for the Space Marines, or the stragglers for the Tyranids on the rest of the planet. So the Tyranids will be gone from the planet. But if the Tyranids win, then they will be able to continue to thrive and get a second chance to attack this planet. So it's a lot riding on this battle. So we'll see how it goes down in this game.
Okay, this is my 1500 point army of Tyranids. We'll start over here with my Winged Hive Tyrant. He's my HQ. He's equipped with Desiccator Larvae, Regeneration, Lash Whip, and Bone Sword. And that is about it. Next we move to my Gene Stealers. They are just normal, not equipped with anything. They do have a Broodlord, though. So that is it. Move right here, which is a group of 20 Termagants. They all just have flesh borers, what you usually get. And then we'll move here to my Carnifex. They're all in one brood. They're equipped with, each one of them has Crushing Claws and Regeneration, and that's it. Now we'll move here to my Tyranid Warriors. They have Lash Whip and Bone Sword, and that is it. Now we have a brood of 4 Rippers, equipped with nothing. So yeah. Now we'll move here to all of another brood of 20 Termagants. No upgrades, just normal. And we'll go here to my Tervagon. He is equipped with Crushing Claws and Regeneration. And that is my 1500 point army.
This is my 1500 point Space Marine list. So for this game, leading my army as my warlord, I have a Chapter Master. He's got Artificer Armor, Power Fist, Storm Bolter, and Digital Weapons. And then for a second HQ choice, I have a Librarian, just upgraded to Mastery Level 2. And just behind these two guys, I have 2 Venerable Dreadnoughts, and then we'll just say this one here as the Assault Cannon, and this one's just normal weapons. And then over here, we have, for elites, we have a normal squad of Terminators, no upgrades, just with the Sergeant, his Power Sword. And then here we have a unit of 5 Vanguard Veterans, all upgraded with their jump packs. The Sergeant has dual Lightning Claws, 2 of them have Power Swords, and the 2 have Power Fists. And they will be joined by a Chaplain, who I've upgraded with a jump pack and a Digital Weapons. Then I have a standard Rhino with just no upgrades, and then 2 tactical squads, 2 10-man tactical squads with a las cannon and a plasma gun, and the Sergeant has a power weapon. It's the same thing for the both. So that's my 1500 points. So we just rolled up on Warlord traits and psychic abilities. So for the Space Marines, my Warlord trait is Iron Will. Iron Resolve, one of the 2. It just gives me a +1 to my results, to any results when I'm in combat, when he's in combat. And then the For the Tyranids, they're a warlord trait. They got a 6, which gives them adaptive biology, just gives them feel no pain after they take their first unsaved wound. And for psychic abilities for the Tyranids, the Hive Tyrant, he's mastery level 2, so he's got Psychic Scream and Onslaught. And the Turvagon rolled up, and he got Catalyst. They'll both get Dominion for their Primaris powers, obvious enough. And then the Librarian, he's upgraded to mastery level 2, so I took both of them. Both of his abilities from Biomancy, so he's got Enfeeble and Endurance, so he gets his Primaris power, which is Smite. So we just finished deployment for the Tyranids and the Space Marines. Tyranids have first turns, they deployed first, they deploy over here. Their objective just held by the Turvagon and these Gaunts here. The Hive Tyrant is not flying right now, but he's just deployed up top the Sky Shield. Coming around on the outside of this city, we have the Carnifex Brood, just deployed right here. And we have the unit of 3 warriors, which performed very dangerously last game, so we'll see if they can perform just as well this game. And then we have the other unit of Termagants right here by this tree, and then just beside them are the Ripper Swarms. And for infiltrators, the Gene Stealers just infiltrated right here behind this tower. And then for the Space Marine side, we have the Rhino, and inside the Rhino is one of the tactical squads. It is broken through combat squads, so they're all in there. And then we have the Dreadnought, the Venerable Dreadnought, with just no upgrades other than that. He's just with the Multi-Melta. Then we have one of the unit of Marines, one of the combat squads here with the Plasma Gun, and then just behind them is my Chapter Master. And then just across the river inside this destroyed, bombed out building, we have the Librarian holding this position, and we have the combat squad with the Las Cannon and the Sergeant with the Power Sword just holding the objective. And then right here we have the Venerable Dreadnought with the Assault Cannon, just looking to hold off down these lanes of fire here. And then we have the Assault Troops, or the Vanguard Veterans right here, with their Chaplain just looking to make an early advance into the Tyranid lines. So, that's the battle. We'll, like I said, the Tyranids have first turn, so I'll just roll to steal the initiative right now, and on a 6, I will get first turn.
And you do not.
And I get a 1. Okay, so we'll go into Tyranids turn 1 after we... yeah. That's the end of Tyranid turn 1 and their movement, and also just finish their psychic phase. So we just have pretty basic, just all these units moving forward. Carnifexes, warriors, gaunts. And the gaunts over here, the Winged Hive Tyrant just dropped down here. And then the Turvagon and these gaunts moved up, and Turvagon bred 8 gaunts here. Then the in the psychic phase, the Hive Tyrant just cast Onslaught onto this unit of gaunts. He tried to cast on these guys, but failed. So that is the end of turn 1 for their movement and their psychic phase. We're going to their shooting and assault phase next. So at the end of Tyranid turn 1, we just, with their shooting phase and their assaults, well, there were no assaults. There's just, nobody fired anything. Everything ran up. Just the Gene Stealers making a quick advance into the Space Marine lines, while these units over here just forcing their way forward slowly. And Turvagon and these gaunts moved up. These gaunts here ran 2 inches towards this objective, just holding that a bit better. And then the Hive Tyrant, the same thing. So that's the end of Tyranid turn 1. We'll get to Space Marines turn 1 and see how they can react to this. start Space Marines turn 1 with their movement phase. We just have the one combat squad here with the plasma gun, and the normal sergeant just disembarked right here. And then the Rhino just drove up with the remaining combat squad. It's full distance. The Rhino, or the Dreadnought, just followed up behind it. That's just a regular one. And then we have the one squad here, actually both these units here, Chapter Master and the combat squad, just moved forwards. Librarian moved out of difficult terrain, 6 inches. The squad here, the las cannon, just stayed put. The Dreadnought here just moved forward with his assault cannon. And then the jump troops just jumped forward from behind here, just all the way up to assault the Tyranid lines. And then the Terminators were going to deep strike right here, and they scattered 6 inches over here and then landed right there. So that's the end of Space Marines turn 1 in the movement phase. We'll get to the psychic and shooting phase. Okay, so that's the end of Space Marines psychic and shooting phase. The Librarian for the psychic phase just cast Enfeeble on these Carnifexes, and that was it. And then for shooting, these guys all fired into these Genoslayers and brought them down. The Venerable Dreadnought here with the multi-melta got a wound on one of the Carnifexes in the front, and so did the squad here with the plasma gun, I do believe. The Chapter Master follows orbital bombardment, which was supposed to land, and since these guys were on toughness 5, we got an instant kill in the center of them, but it scattered back 7 inches. Still got the one in the back, but it also got 3 of my Terminators. Killed one of my Terminators, and I got a 1. I rolled a 1 to wound the Carnifex, so he survived. Pretty bad. The Tervigon, or the las cannon here in this squad, fired all the way through. The Tervigon did get a cover save, but he failed it. Now he's down to 5 wounds, just from the las cannon shot. The assault cannon and the Stormbolter from this Venerable Dreadnought here just fired and took out 5 of these Termagants. So that's the end of Space Marine turn 1. Actually, there's no assaults. These guys aren't really... Oh, actually, no, we do have the one assault over here with my Terminators, so we'll get to that in just a second. So then, just to end Space Marine turn 1 with their assault phase, we just have the result here. The Terminators charged in and were able to kill 2 Carnifexes, and then the Carnifex killed one of the
2
Terminators here. Oh yeah, 2 here, because one had died from the bombardment. So it was. Yeah, so there was just 2 that he killed there, so that combat will stay as is. So that's the end of Space Marines turn 1. So we'll go into Tyranid turn 2 in just a second. To start Tyranids turn 2 with their movement phase, we just have all these guys here moving forward, these Genoslayers running away from the Space Marines, hiding behind the shack, and then all of these Gaunts and the Ripper Swarms just moving forwards. The Warriors changed course and are heading to support the Carnifex there. And then we have the Hive Tyrant, who is flying now, so he's up in the air, he just flew forward. And then the Tervigon and his Gaunts there just move forwards, running forwards. These Gaunts back here stayed in place. And that's it for movement in turn 2 for the Tyranids. So we'll get into their psychic and shooting phase next. So that ends Tyranid turn 2 with their shooting and their assault. And actually I think their psychic phase as well. Actually none of their spells were successfully cast, so denied the Witch. But over here, a little bit of a success story. The Warriors charged into those Terminators and we're able to kill them before they could even retaliate. And then the Carnifex and they both just consolidated towards the Rhino here. So that's the end of Tyranids turn 2. We're going to Space Marines, starting with their movement phase. So start Space Marine turn 2. There's with their movement. It's got this squad here just moving back, and then this squad disembarked from the Rhino and just right beside cover here. The last cannon power sword. And the Rhino drove up, blocked off the warriors there. The Dreadnought just moving forward through this terrain, and the combat squad here just moved forward, and the Chapter Master is moving forward, looking to get the enemy warlord. The librarian here just moved up into the building, and these guys are just staying put. This Dreadnought just moving forward again. And then the Vanguard Vets and the Chaplain just jumped all the way across over here, infiltrating the Tyranid lines. So that is the end of movement for turn 2 of the Space Marines. We'll get into their psychic and shooting. Okay, so that's the end of the psychic phase and shooting phase for the Space Marines. Just for the psychic phase, the Librarian cast Enfeeble on these guys. We got 3 successful hits, successful warp charges, and then they only were able to deny 2 of them. So they're on Enfeeble now, lowered toughness, and they treat lowered strength and toughness. And then shooting, these guys fired into the Rippers and killed a bunch of them. Took these guys, this guy, these guys in here, and this guy, all shooting at the Carnifex, but finally brought it down with this squad here fired last. And then after it died, cleared out the line of sight for the Dreadnought here, and he fired his multi-melt and Stormbolt into the warriors and killed one of them. This Dreadnought over here just fired, got all of his hits and all of his wounds, and dropped this squad down by 6. And then over here, the Assault Squad just fired their bolt pistols down into the squad and killed 3 or 4 of them, one of the 2. So, pretty exciting shooting for the Space Marines here in turn 2. So we'll get into their assaults. And that ends Space Marines turn 2 with their assaults. Just over here, the concluded this result. The Vanguard Veterans just cleared out that unit of Gaunts there and just secured that objective, for now at the very least. And then, coming over here, the Dreadnought was able to kill a couple of these Gaunts here as well. So that ends, like I said, Space Marine turn 2. So we'll get into Tyranids turn 3, and let's see if they can actually get past their turn 3 this time. So to start Tyranids turn 3 with their movement, we just have the Hive Tyrant flying up over here. Is he landing now?
I'm gonna say no.
So he's still in the air? Okay. Okay, Gene Stealer just moved out from here, just moving around the building, and then these Ripper Swarms just moving forwards. This tide of untouched Gaunts is just rushing forwards towards my Marines. The Warriors still have Enfeeble on them, so they were only able to move 1 inch. They treat everything as difficult terrain. And the Turvagon has shifted around and is making his way towards these assault troops, who just slaughtered his little children. So that is the end of Tyranids turn 3 in their movement. So we get into psychic and shooting.
Wait, I'm actually gonna quickly roll to see how many Gaunts that guy can spawn.
Okay, so he's got 3d6. So let's see how many Gaunts he spawns. Quite a few. Okay, so that's gonna be everything. So that ends Tyranid turn 3 with their well, not their whole turn 3, just their psychic and shooting. Their psychic phase, he casts Psychic Scream into Tiberius, my Chapter Master, and got 1 wound off. It's pretty cool psychic ability. And then shooting from over here, all these shots fired into these guys, but we lost. We took a cover save on the one guy. We passed a lot of armor saves, except for ones. We took cover save, and then he died. So, and then over here, the chaplain took a wound, failed his armor, and his from shooting from these gaunts here. But yeah, fire failed his invul as well. So that brings us to assault phase for the Tyranids in turn 3. So that brings us to the end of Tyranid turn 3. With their assaults. Over here there was no success. Over here obviously no success. And then down here there was a bit of a success story. The Termagants were able to kill one guy with a power sword. And then the vets went next and they wounded took a couple of wounds off of the Tervigon. 3 wounds. Yeah. And then it, in return, killed a Power Fist and a Power Sword vet, and then regenerated one of its wounds. So that's it for Tyranid turn 3. We'll go into Space Marines turn 3 and see what they can do. So, to start Space Marines turn 3, their movement phase, we just have these guys moving over to catch these Gene Stealers. These guys stay and put, they're locked to combat. Tiberius just took a couple steps back, just in preparation for some planning. These guys stayed still, Librarian stayed still. The Dreadnought moved forwards up onto the bridge, and this squad also moved forward across the bridge. This Dreadnought just broke out of combat with those guys and just walking forward to support these vets back here. And the Rhino just drove out from here all the way back here just to secure a line breaker for the Space Marines. So, we'll go into their psychic and shooting phase for turn 3 in just a second. That's the psychic phase and also the shooting phase for the Space Marines. The psychic phase, the Librarian just cast Enfeeble on the Hive Tyrant, and they only managed to deny only one of our warp charges out of the 3, so he's denied. So then he's been cast Enfeeble. Then shooting from the multi-melta from here, would you believe it, managed to hit this guy. He failed his, well, he took a wound, and then failed his grounding test, which I was not expecting. And then so he crashed the ground, took strength 9 hit, dropped a wound. And then the rest is shooting from this guy Stormbolter, brought him down a wound. From Tiberius, Stormbolter brought him down a wound. And these guys, Las Cannon brought him down a wound. Shooting from over here, as you can see there's a guy missing. That was my plasma gun. His weapon got hot and killed him, but we did manage to bring this unit down to just the Broodlord and his last wound. And shooting from these guys here, just firing into them, brought that unit down to just the 2 guys left. And Stormbolter from the Venerable Dreadnought here, firing into the Tourbillon, brought him back down to 2 wounds. And that's it for shooting and psychic phase. So we'll get into their assaults because we got a couple to continue, and then a couple to start. So we'll get to that. So to end Space Marine turn 3 with their assault phase, we just have a bit of a success story over here again. It's kind of been back and forth back here, but the Dreadnought assaulted into the Tervigon and killed it, and then these guys all just kind of shifted around, they consolidated forwards. And then that was really it. There was some attacks going over here, but nobody got anything. Just kind of been scrunching up together. We tried to assault these guys in suicide mission against the Gene Stealer Broodlord, which might not have been a suicide mission. It's only on 1 wound, but he has weapon skill 7, so who knows, but it's 12 inches, so no, we didn't stand a chance. Over here, Tiberius failed to get into the Hive Tyrant, so we'll see how that gets going. He still is on Enfeeble, so he's on difficult terrain. And that's really it for the Space Marines in turn 3. So we'll get into Tyranids turn 4, starting with their movement phase next. Okay, so we just did this turn really quick. This is turn 4 for the Tyranids. Well, really quick, we just did it all in one go. We have instinctive behaviors here. This whole unit ran off the table. We failed and he's got lurk, so I don't remember what it was, but they just ran off the table, and then these guys also just ran back. Then for assaults, we just have all these guns moving up, and these warriors got into that squad, so they're pretty much gunners. And these guys, the Genius Slayer got into these guys, and they're probably also gunners. Maybe not this turn, but eventually. And then just in the very end here, right in the center of the battlefield, to make this mighty spectacle of glorious combat, the two warlords battle each other. This battle will actually determine who wins the game. So nobody holds that objective over there. My elites can't hold objectives, and neither can the dreadnoughts, so I can't even hold that objective. So this battle will determine who wins, because we're both pretty even right now for victory points. We worked it out. I'm at 5, he's at 6. If I get Slaying the Warlord, it'll bring me above him, and if he gets it, of course, it'll bring him above me as well. So I need to win this.
Or me. Okay.
So we'll get to that in just a second. Okay, so we thought this was worthy. Since it's such a pivotal assault, we'll record it. The damn Tyranid has Lash of Bone Swords, so he's on way higher initiative than Tiberius. So he's going to be attacking first, and he's got 6 attacks on 3s to hit. Okay, so
that was
two
good. That was
misses.
good.
Just take all the same colored ones.
Okay.
Just it looks nicer. Okay, and then you are strength.
Let me get that.
5 or 6?
6.
Okay, so on toughness 4, you're on 3s to hit, or to wound.
3s to wound?
Yeah. Or is it 2s?
2s.
Okay, so anyways, it doesn't.
You have to make all of these or you die.
Okay, so I've got some
Okay.
2 up armor, 4 up invul. So we got
you got these.
2 up armor,
Oh, nice.
4 up invul.
Oh.
Okay, so Tiberius lives to attack the next round here. We'll get to his deck. Okay, so Tiberius is a power fist, so he's not going to get any extra attacks. He's also not charging, so he's just on 4 attacks, which is still not bad. He's weapon skill 6, he's Tyranid's weapon skill 8, so he'll be hitting on 4s. Okay, and then wounding on 2s. The Hive Tyrant does have Enfeeble, but that only brings it down to 5, so it doesn't matter. But toughness 5 I suppose doesn't matter, but 2's to wound here. Okay, so
6.
no, it's AP2. So
Dumb.
okay, so Tiberius has just barely claimed victory here with only just his last attack, but he's able to punch the tail of this mighty beast in this epic close combat here, so. And that ends Space Marines turn 4 here on with their assaults. Tiberius here had just managed to defeat the Winged Hive Tyrant, that foul beast, and got us 2 extra victory points for slaying the Warlord, and he just consolidated towards the warriors. He's gonna
I
see what
decided
he can do
to
before
challenge Tiberius with my warriors.
Yeah, not like an actual challenge, but just for in-game, keep it interesting for the final turn of the game. So yeah, that's it. We're going to turn 5, which most likely will be the final turn of the game, with their movement just now. So start Tyranid turn 5 with their movement and their shooting, which combine them. This unit failed to regroup and just continued running back. This unit of Gaunts and the Warriors moved up, converging on Tiberius. The Rippers just stayed put for whatever reason, and the Jane Stealer here, the Broodlord, just moved over here, just ensuring line break and making sure he was all in cover. And that's it for Tyranids in the movement, and then for shooting, all they had to shoot was just all these guns here. Devourers here and Flesh Borers here, all into Tiberius, but he passed his armor and his invul. So we'll go into assaults for the Tyranids. Okay, so to end the Tyranids' most likely final turn, they'll roll up after on their turn 5 with their assaults. The Warriors managed to take 1 wound down off of Tiberius, and Tiberius got 4 wounds and dropped one of them down to 2 wounds, and the other one down 3 wounds. Sorry, he only got 3 wounds. Dropped one down to 2, and another down to 1. So that combat will continue, and we'll go into Space Marines turn 5 here with their movement.
Alright.
That starts the Space Marine turn 5 with their movement. Well, actually, we've gone right up to the assaults just before we started resolving them. These guys just jumped over here and then they ran over. The Dreadnought here just turned and killed these Gaunts here just to ensure that they can't regroup and just steal this somehow on the 6th turn if there was one. Rhino stayed put. I suppose he could have moved, but not a whole lot of use for him anymore. The Librarian has just moved forward a bit and he cast Endurance on the Chapter Master, and as you can see, there's a big mess here now. It's been kind of a rescue the Chapter Master mission at this point. Their Dreadnoughts rushed in. I was just going to have them shoot, but I remembered that you can't shoot enemy units that are engaged in combat, because risk of shooting your own guy is kind of crap. So yeah, Dreadnought just charged into the Warriors, and then my Space Marines here moved from there and charged into the Gaunts. So we'll get those assaults resolved, and we'll see if we can even save the Chapter Master here on turn 5. And that ends Space Marine turn 5 here with this. As a result, we've pretty much saved Tiberius. He's more or less safe. The Gaunts might still kill him, but they're kind of outnumbered now for attacks and skill. So I would say he's safe. That ends turn 5, so if you want to roll up here on that dice over there to see if we go into turn 6,
Okay.
that would be...
So on a 6?
That would be great.
On a...
Yeah, 6, we go on turn 6.
And we do?
Ooh, alrighty, so we'll go into Tyranid turn 6. See what they can do with these Gaunts and that Jane Stealer. And that ends the game here on turn 6 of Space Marines' final turn. We just, not really a whole lot for movement. For shooting, we just had these guys move up and then assaulted in. And just, the Dreadnought here actually fired into the Broodlord and killed him. And then these assault troops and these Space Marines and Tiberius over there, we all consolidated out, but they finished off that unit of Gaunts. So that ends the game here on turn 6. It's a really close game. Like, you're back and forth and back and forth. Tyranid's getting first blood, and was kind of a worry for me right at the beginning, but at the very least, very fun game. Probably the best we've had so far on the channel for sure. Yeah, so we'll tally up the victory points and see how close it was of a game. And here we find ourselves at the end of the game. going into turn 6, which is pretty nice. First time on the channel at the very least. So for victory points, the Space Marines were holding their initial objective, or their objective, so that's 3 victory points. And then we always go 2 victory points for Linebreaker, Warlord, and First Blood. So they got Warlord and Linebreaker over here with the Dreadnought, and also this Rhino, bringing us up to 7. And then the Tyranids, actually, forgot about the Rippers, but they got he's just in, like, this thing's got about an inch in the front base there. Linebreaker, and then they also got First Blood, bringing them to 4. So we end the game at 7-4. So it would have been a hell of a lot closer if Tiberius had died. So I'm sure you can understand my reasoning for ensuring he didn't. But that's the end of the game. 7-4 for the Space Marines. Well fought by both sides.